Good evening. This is the Elliott Wave update for the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100 for Tuesday, April 25th, 2023. A wild and amazing day. That's how I'm going to begin tonight's update. We saw a market, both the S&P and the NASDAQ, break down prior to the earnings brought by Google and Microsoft today. Google ended up putting out the information that they are going to do a $70 billion stock buyback, which of course tends to boost the price of the stock. But I think we need to just really understand, it's like, why is the company deciding to buy back its own stock instead of, paying a dividend or, putting that money back into something within the company? Is it really to the benefit of the shareholders that they do the buyback, or is it more for the benefit of the stockholders within the company? Big question. I'm not going to get into that. I'm just going to leave it out there on the table. Microsoft reported and beat the street, and I guess had some pretty solid forward guidance. Again, the big choice that we have is who is doing better with the artificial intelligence. Are they early? Are they on time? Et cetera, et cetera. But in any case, Microsoft is now zipped up to a new 52-week high. In fact, they continue to buy pretty strongly as the Globex session gets underway. So currently the stock is going to be opening, if it stays at these levels, it will open up $22 tomorrow, open up $22. That, of course, is giving a stronger boost to the Dow future and the S&P future, and of course, the NASDAQ future. The NASDAQ opened up in Globex at 12,948, dropped immediately down to 25, and now is getting ready to cross 12,970. So the index is up 160 coming into the beginning of Globex. That's a pretty good, decent run. And we still have Yahoo, Mountain Dew, we still have Apple, we still have Honeywell, we still have Meta, and everybody gets to participate even when the tech companies do well. So we have Tesla that's now being marked higher as we enter into Globex. We see AMAT being marked higher. We see Apple being marked higher. We see Amazon being marked higher. Everybody gets to participate in the joy that Google and Microsoft want to spread. Nonetheless, we saw a very strong down close prior to the earnings. And a lot of that, I'm just going to make reference, a lot of that is due to the Dow Transportation Index. Now, we can take this out and put it on a monthly chart, and we can see basically that the market has really likely topped back in 2020, and it's not showing us clearly here, and finished their counter-trend rally and did a nosedive right through on the 4-hour chart, all the moving averages, and continues to move lower. This was primarily on UPS, United Parcel Service, and this was not necessarily on the earnings, this was on the forward guidance. So either Microsoft made a quick choice not to really tell all of their forward guidance or all of what they really thought, but maybe they did, and everybody's like, Yahoo, stock is now trading above $300. These are major moves that we're now seeing. And this is basically why I feel the market, particularly in the NASDAQ, held higher. Refused to sell off, got caught up in it today as Microsoft sold off over $6 into the close. Meta down 5, Apple down 1 and some change, et cetera, et cetera. AMAT down 3, AMD down 3 3/4, Amazon down 3 5/8. It just was like goes on and on how the markets were getting hit pretty hard. Now, we're now heading, still adding to the total. We're now up 175, and this is all within the first 9 minutes. So we're seeing, again, a lot of covering, a lot of short covering, a lot of repositioning, a lot of everything that has to be done. So how do I want to take a look at this? Well, I did go back, and I really pulled it all apart, all the way up to and including the all-time high. That all remains the same. But I've now marked this down because this continued to bother me. And so I got together with Dan Ascani, who, again, most of you know, that was my teacher, but now we are colleagues, and we are doing a trade room together, and we do podcasts together, et cetera, et cetera. And so we really kind of walked over this. And again, based on what the Dow Jones Transport Index was telling us today. And so that kind of led to believe that, like, well, this counter trend rally should likely also be done. And then we got the earnings. And then we see this big, huge, gigantic push. So, but I went back and still put pretty firmly now the primary A wave completion point at the October lows. Now, having done that, what that then does still puts us in the primary B wave counter trend rally. But then today, this still is as ugly as can be, what we got going on, and all of this garbage. And so I stared, I looked at it, I ran a bunch of numbers, I did everything I possibly could do to try to figure what is going on in the NASDAQ. And so what I've come up with is we're still leaving the A wave, the intermediate A wave of primary wave B, completed at the high at 13,061. The B wave, the intermediate B wave, completed at 11,806. So we remain within that intermediate C wave. And again, I'm thinking, well, did we finish it here? If so, what was this? What was all of this? Is it really a diagonal? It doesn't fit. So I left the count and the 1, 2, and I put the third back at that high at 13,357. And then this is the A, and then we get this very disruptive, distorted B wave. And actually the C wave down was also just as distorted and problematic, but finally we get to put 5 in, 5 down into today's low at 12,793. So if this is all going to work out to be A, B, C, I can put the 4 right there at that low. What does this suggest? It suggests that we actually still have one more wave of minor degree up. Now, can this change moving forward? It truly, truly can. But this whole process has been agonizing and very difficult to actually put your finger on. What are you telling me, market? What is going on? Finally, we're getting some clarification because like, well, we're going to go higher because we had Microsoft and Google. And now we're expecting that we'll have Apple, AMAT, Amazon, all, and NVIDIA, all doing the same thing, all blowing the doors off. So we'll get this rally and it'll continue. And to tell you the truth, that may be the case. But for right now, this still could be the completion point, in all honesty, and therefore that the C wave ends in a failure because it failed to take out, in terms of the whole C wave. It didn't take, and within it, wave 5 did not take out the top or the high of wave 3. So, and it's not tremendous it actually is about 130 point, actually a little bit more, 160 point failure. And that in and of itself can tend to think that that's too big. But when we got this reaction, it should have really fallen much quicker. So then getting this done, I thought, okay, that can fit. And then we get this reaction after. So the volatility in the market is going to continue. So let's leave it at this way. I am going to suggest that I'm going to be giving the market the benefit of the doubt that it actually does, within its realm of possibilities, is going to carry out and finish this thing to the upside. And we have the balance of all the earnings reports yet to come. The majority of them will be coming before next Wednesday's results from the Fed, which will come just prior to Apple reporting its earnings on the 4th of May. So the 4th of May is a Wednesday, I believe. No, take it back. May 1st is Monday, almost a week from today. May 1st, 2nd, 3rd, we'll get the results of the Fed. And then Wednesday, Apple reports. So it could be, this is going to be very interesting, and it's going to be very wild, because we're going to have such volatility still remaining in our market that it will really produce some, hopefully, very exciting trading. So I'm going to leave it as follows. I'm going to put the NASDAQ in a minor fifth wave up. Let me bring this down to the hourly chart, and let's open up that hourly chart so we can take a peek inside. This was yesterday. Here's today. This was an incredible decline. It was just really incredible decline. And this was the power up after the earnings. And this is the start of Globex. Actually, that is the close, and here's Globex. Start of Globex. So we've already gone 922 to, and we've already 70 points. We've added 70 points and now backing back down again off of this whole thing. So I need to keep everything open. This is difficult. This is difficult. This is difficult. It wasn't until finally here that we get what appears could be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, and a 5 of what? I don't know. I have to be honest with you. I need more market information before I can put that together. If indeed this whole thing is putting together a minor first wave of an intermediate wave 1 of a primary wave C, then I would conclude that that high finished this whole thing. So, and right now we've got wave 3. Where did it go? There it is. Let me bring this down and back over here. It's so hard when you're flipping between larger time frames. So 3, and this is all the 4, or we're going to have to put the 4 here, and this is going to have some kind of a fifth wave, which is now really difficult to put together. So you can see the dilemma. I need to let the market work it out, and then I'm going to have to really have a conversation with the spirit of RN Elliott to say, what does one do when we're putting this together? Because even though Dan and I, again, have that combined 75 years experience doing Elliott, we were both kind of stumped. We're like, well, could be this, but if we apply this rule, we apply this. If we look at what's happening in the Dow Jones Transports, which did a clean 5 down, the Dow basically did a clean 5 down to likely put in the primary A wave. And then we've got the primary B wave beautiful rally back up, completes, and now we're dropping in the beginning stages of a primary C wave in the Dow, likely, and inside the Dow transports. So that overflows. But trust me, I am going to work out the count. That's just how I am and who I am. I will work out the count. But for the sake of trading tomorrow, with still some additional earnings reports tomorrow, we get Meta. I wish I could press the right button. We get Meta reporting tomorrow. And then we get Amazon on Thursday. So still got two big that could really push things. Is Meta going to come up and actually extend their buyback program? Are they going to add more money to it? Are they going to say that their ad revenue has increased and not decreased, as Microsoft, or excuse me, Google has now said that their ad revenue has softened, has decreased? Are they actually going to be able to admit that yep, we're going to have to participate in whatever downturn comes to the market? We will also be there. We will also fit and have to go with it. So there's so much going on. But let's say off the hourly chart, we've got a great start to the first leg up within a minor fifth wave. All right. If I pull this all together and I mark this as the end of wave 4, and it's a very complex pattern, I must say, ABCX, ABC 1, 2, 3, maybe. Is it an X? I hope not. So you can see, just trying to count it out, I could get a double down to here, but it needed to go. But instead it went all the way down and broke below the 4, which was over there. So again, giving the benefit of the doubt to the NASDAQ that they are going to pull it together and they're going to finish this counter trend rally. And if that's the case, then I'm going to start to build the fibs. Initially, we have the continuation of the fibs coming up, and that would be for that larger C wave. Okay, we're in the C wave. Here are the fibs for that larger C wave. In immediate degree, we have 618 at 13,241. We've already exceeded it, now being held back by it. Another level that can complete it is 70.5%, which is 13,443. 78.6%, 13,631. And this would be where wave C would be 70.5% of wave A, or 78.6% of wave A. 100% takes us to 14,128. Those are going to have to be pretty much blow the doors off. Everybody else that's left to report, you got to blow the doors off. Because from there to there is a lot of points. It's over 1,000. Over 1,000 NASDAQ points to get us up there. If we continue to put in decent rallies, which you can see we were up close to almost 200, oh, now we're dropping back. So the market continues to be extremely volatile going in both directions. Even though Microsoft got up above, now it's dropping back $2. Google got up to 107, now it's dropping back $1.50. That volatility is really going to dictate a lot. But let's just say the market cannot fail from here. If it goes up and it comes back to retest, or even it cannot go below 12,800. That would just be no. If the rest of the world decides that's where we're going and it's pushed there, then this goes back likely to here. No, excuse me, here. And this remains the balance of that fifth wave, and we have a failure. And this somehow would work out to be minor wave 1, and this is a minor wave 2. But let's put in another fib that will help us to determine this fifth wave. And that we're going to be connect the third, high and low to the third, down to the bottom of that fourth, Oh, come on, come on, come on. Whoa, right there. I think it's going to be okay. Let me go down to the 1 hour chart. No. I'm going to move it up to 2804. Let me quickly edit. 128.01, I believe, is that low. And then we'll just get that moved up and boom, now we've got it. Okay, so what we have is some resistance at 12,967. We've already exceeded, come back below it. That's out. Next up, we have 13,096, and that would only be 0.236, where wave 5 would only be 0.236 of wave 3. And then we have to go up to this level. That'll be resistance, but it's 618 of the larger C wave. We know it's been exceeded. It needs to do it again. So it won't be strong resistance. Next resistance will be 13,279. Still should be easy to get above and get us above this level here. Then we have 50% of 13,427. Now we're beginning to get into a level that may complete it. Likely, again, it has to be below the doors off of everything that's left to report. It has to be nothing but positive. I'm serious now. It has to be nothing but more positive across the board. We don't get one index to be crummy and the other indexes to go like, okay, we favor all this and go with it. It has to be in sync and they all have to move. It's a big order. It's a big order considering what the markets were reacting to today. Big order for this to continue on its happy little way. So I'm leaving that possibility here, but I'm explaining very clearly what the market really must do. Now, could wave 5 end here? Yes, it really can. Can wave 5 end here? It could, but then it's still a failure. It needs to get above 13,350 to finish this whole thing and get above wave 3. Still a very tall order. It needs to rally 400 NASDAQ points to get that done, or 390 to get that done. Doesn't have to exceed all the way up to here. It just needs to get above there. And we need to finish 5 waves. And if this is wave 1, and we get a little 2, wave 3 should blast us and get us there. We have the earnings that could come and possibly, very possibly do it. We'll have to wait and see. Moving averages, you can see they're still not really reacting. The 4 and the 8 hooked, the 20 kind of hanging out, maybe it'll hook. The 50 and the 200 still angling down. Now looking like they might want to go flat, but still basically angling lower. Over in the S&P, it truly is a much different story because it's more in line with the Dow. So even if I had to keep the same count, put the 4 over here, this thing needs to get itself above 41.97. Okay, so let's go out and start building our fibs on this one. Here is the C wave, still in there. Well, you could technically put together a triangle. It no longer fits because this on all charts really now is truly best counted as a 5-wave decline and not an ABC. I could push it and force it, but then still that would be only to there. When I get up and then back down, it really turns the whole thing into a 5-wave decline. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I've had a problem with it all along, and I've tried to put it into my own perspective here. Thinking that could be the A, sure, I can count it as 5. It works. This I could likely possibly squeeze a 5 waves out of it, or 3, A, B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, C. I mean, it all does technically still fit, but it's not working. So that puts me back into a different position to where I'm like, okay, The triangle pattern is a push, It all still fits if I connect all the dots. It all still fits very cleanly. But I need to be more realistic about what it's doing now. Now, if this were to end there, it still can. It would now be a failure. It could be a C-wave failure. And again, I'm still in consultation. I'm still really breaking my back to try to put this together. So at best right now, I'm going to keep it in line with the NASDAQ and say we have 1, 2, 3, 4. And if that's the case, then we're going to be putting down additional fibs here to see what we can come up with in terms of where this market should go. Let me bring it back down to the hourly chart. We still got it, 42.20. So we still, I hate to say this, because we had cleared and broke below 4,100 more than once. And we believed that could have cleared it. It could have cleared this whole thing because the SPX itself was down 65. So there was a lot of hope that this was done and we were heading lower. This 1, 2, let me just bring that in. So we're running into the same wall. 1, 2, and this could be 3, 4, and a 5. Maybe, but this all seems to be one little move. So does it leave it as a 3? Again, we need more market information. The markets are being very difficult to actually wrap around and say what's going on. I apologize for that, but it's truly not, it's not up to me. It's the market itself and what they decide. And we already know that there's a lot of factors within our market that are creating more elongated Elliott moves, more irregular Elliott moves in terms of irregular B waves, within a wave 2, within a wave 4, with just outstanding. It's just, it is a continuing thing that presents problems in trying to determine what comes next. But we will see. So if I'm going to leave this in 3 and a 4, I'm going to bring this all the way over here and leave it not all the way over there. I'm not the most comfortable with it, but I want to now show we have one more to put in. Let me go back out to the 4-hour chart, and that would be for that wave 5, which I did do. So we have the wave 5, and that's these right here. And again, I need more to go on to start building internally. So that remains in the picture. This was a great trading day, best that we've had. It really it looked like the trend had picked up. The trend was down. The downside kicked in. It broke through a vol wall. We saw how that switches hedging, and that's where hedge funds and the management of them, they needed to sell into strength and sell into weakness and buy into strength, which is the opposite of what you think they should do, right? So it is kind of very, very bizarre at this moment. The S&P now is up about 20 as Globex winds down the first half hour. All of this can change. A lot of things can happen. We still have additional companies to report. And we shall see. We shall see how this all works out. Downside from here, this fits for both markets. If they swing back and they break below that low, then they're just adding to this initial decline, and this all gets reversed back out. And that fifth wave and the end of the primary B wave would sit right there. Now, having said that, should that be the case, then here as well, it's ending in a failure because actually wave A of primary wave B finished at 42.50. That suggests that wave C should take that high out under the current count. We still have possibilities, but I can't do it internally because this would be C and this would be A, and wave C cannot and is not expected to take out the high of wave A because it no longer is a triangle. It's not wedging. But if I'm going to remove this back and recount this as wave A, which doesn't fit because they all should be threes, so you see how the triangle kind of got disappeared. And so we're going to have to wait and see how this all ends up. It's very difficult. But downside, really, the market should not come down and retest those lows. Should not. If the intent is to go higher, it should not slip back down and test that high, the low at 40.90. And that's where I'm going to leave it for right now. Tomorrow is Wednesday. Let's see what's on tap in terms of numbers. And that would be our I know we have some numbers tomorrow, the latest. Come on, what do we got? That's the headlines, watch list of headlines. So I switched out of that, and now I can't find it again. We do have some numbers tomorrow. And, yeah, well, I'll find it. Right now, I'm unable to, but we do have some numbers coming out tomorrow. And actually, I can do it. Stick with me 1 second while I put that on. I just got to go to a different web page, and we will get that up there. And we have everything has changed. We need the full calendar. Let me see that. We'll take a look. So for tomorrow, we have durable goods at 8:30 Eastern, and we have wholesale inventories, resale inventories, international trade in goods, et cetera, and that's about it. So those come out. Durable goods, we'll see how that ends up. That could be a market mover. That's how it's marked, as a market mover. International trade in goods, the same way. We'll see how it goes. And Thursday, we have GDP and jobless claims. So a lot of stuff still yet to come out economically. All right, this is where I'm going to finish it. Thanks for your attention. Our next update will be on Wednesday, April the 26th.